back again, since I am trying to recharge the phone also in the kitchen. This is where I'm at the moment, rather than over there, which was part one. But I felt like I kind of left you in Venice in the middle without really enough information about what I did there and what else we got from Italy. So, like, for example, were there any good hauls? Actually, there were. There's a bit of a vacation haul in the sense that I had written down beforehand already for myself as a reminder, kind of, herbs that are a bit harder to get a hold of in this country. Vervain is one of them. It's like a lemony iron herb, maybe that's the name. That's used a lot in infusions, in tea, beverages, because it's relaxing and a bit uplifting as well. So that was one that I had to get in France, and I did. Actually, I got this much. That's about 50 grams worth, so that should last me a bit. I also got lemon balm, and I've got Provençal herbs in a bag, cheapest version, because I use this basically all the time. If you ask me to fry a pork chop or anything, or in tomato sauce, that type of Mediterranean more or less type food, I will use this 3 out of 4 times. So that's all stocked up. The really cool bit was getting our bay leaf again. I'm going to turn on a light like so. That helps slightly. Yes, it looks better even color-wise. This is bay leaf. You can see the color right there, more or less the shape of the leaves. That I got 2 bags of this in a supermarket in France, also to just have to be sure that I've got enough for at least, I don't know, probably 2 years now. That'll last me that long. However, there's a cute little story attached to the camping site that we stayed at in Italy, in the Veneto, that I described in the former video. By the lake, on the other side of the lake, there is a farmer family, farmhouse, huge, old, ancient, probably 17th century or so, old farmhouse with a big vegetable garden and orchard around it. And they tend to have some type of a sign outside saying that they've got some type of harvest on offer for you to come and buy. And this time they had blackberries on sale, I think it was. I didn't take any, because the other time that we visited that place was, like I said, probably 15 years ago or so. Or 13 years, was it 13 years? I think so, that's what husband said. I haven't really tracked it all down because, very confusing. I remember getting out of the car at that place also because I wanted fresh Italian bay leaf. So bay leaf, but actually from a tree, straight on, fresh, and then dried myself. And that worked back then perfectly, and they didn't want any money for it because it was like, you want that? Really? You sure? And what do you use it for? And so I stick it in tomato sauces and in broth and all that, just like I learned from my mama. And I got a huge lot back then because they'd kind of not trimmed the trees. So he gave me like this almost a bin liner full of bay leaves that I used forever afterwards, for at least 5 years or so. Way too much. I should have sold it. And this time we went back there, and there was this nice old lady who opened the door, and I put my same question to her again. And do you have some bay leaf for me? Because I still, want to pay for it. And she said, oh, you really want bay leaf? You mean it's like it grows on every bush? I don't care. It's so so common. More common than mugwort, apparently, to their minds. Anyway, and she went out to the tree in the bush that she still had, which had been trimmed this time, but she still managed to get me quite a bit of this. And this is a lot greener than the other one, like you could see, because these are dried and these are not yet. But they're quite fragrant and it's a bit bitter smelling, and it's just something that I want to have. And you know what my husband does when we get our bay leaf again 15 years on in time and she still doesn't want any money for it? He cries. That's my husband for you. I'm sharing it with the internet. I'm married to this prince of people who cares so much about things being right and being perfect, but he's just such an idealist. So that was the Veneto, the countryside. I had to still share with you my birthday cards that I pulled with my husband from the Sassorabito Tarot on the Stelvio mountain pass. I had the Six of Cups, the Sun and the Fool for a baseline for next year, and the Five of Swords, the High Priestess, and the Eight of Wands as a sort of a second layer on top of that. And all put together, it just feels really good. I feel like this means to me, funnily enough, there aren't any pentacles in there, probably because I've got all the pentacles that I need at this point. And the Fool is fine. The Six of Cups is great. And the, I don't know what really to say about the High Priestess. I suppose you are a priestess to the extent that you have an impact on other people. And that will just have to be the way it comes out naturally. That's not something that I want to be pushing around or presenting myself as in any way. Second cup of coffee, still a bit on the weak side because I'm used to Italian espresso now. You know. The map of Venice. Here it is. So this is what that looks like. Can you see how many streets and canals there are? That's just the north side, and over here, what's that? Oh, it's only my passport that fell out. It's on the floor now. Over here is the north part of the town, is the Jewish ghetto that we visited. In the middle here is a big yellow church building. You're not even able to make it out. That's where the Titian paintings are. If I turn it over, there's the south part of the city. Can you please give me some lighting on this thing? Yes, thank you very much. That is where the San Marco Piazza is, where all the tourists are. So having a map like this, I think, is completely indispensable. I saw a lot of people using probably some type of app or Google Maps or some other type of similar tool device on their smartphones to get around, which will work just as fine, except I've still got these, and I've got another one that we bought the second time around because then we didn't prepare for revisiting Venice, and of course I didn't bring the map then. This time I brought both of them, and so I was totally cool, and I'm not afraid of getting lost there at all. And the last thing that I actually bought in Venice, which I think is pretty awesome, I've got for my birthday 3 pigments. So these are earth tones. I'm hoping you can tell the difference between these two. Hardly. Certainly not with this horrible lighting issue. This is a dark blue, really almost midnight blue, and I'm trying to keep waving the thing around so you can sort of see what's happening. Why does it go dark? Sorry to annoy you with that, guys. Really, I just don't know what to do other than... So let me describe. That's a midnight blue. This is a really more of a chestnut brown, and this is what you would call an Indian red, or also a Venetian red type earth tone. And what I do have is an earth pigment from the south of France, which they harvest out of the rock there that I visited, which will be in between these two tints and brighter. So The three of those, combined with the other materials that I've got, I can just mix up with Arabic gum and a bit of hot water, boiled, preferably disinfected water, you know, and then paint with those. So I thought that after all the painting business, what with Titian and all that, I'm a great fan of Titian, like I said in the previous video, because he has, of all the Renaissance painters, he's one of the most natural painters of people. There's this painting that I hinted at, that I visited when we were there, has this Virgin Mary figure sitting on a tall throne, and all these other figures are sort of grouped around her feet, more or less. And there's one of the figures, the most important one, is like this Doge of Venice, an enormously important man, you know, who has placed his key of the city as a symbol at her feet to worship her and Christ child. And the way she is portrayed, the way she looks at him, she holds on to her kid who's standing on one foot, more or less, on her knee, on her leg, on her thigh, next to her like that. And he's sort of poking his face out of her veil that's over her head. So her veil goes like this from her head to his. And they're in a group together like that. And Saint Francis is on the one side. He's really close to the Christ child. And the other ones are all further down. And everybody's at the downside of the painting is really important. There's all those very important people, you know. And her glance at this character, this important king-like figure, you know, this ruler of men, she looks at him like, okay, so now what you gotta offer? She has this completely different expression on her face, and you see her like this, looking down at him like, okay, so go ahead, make my day. And I think it's stunning. It's so it's very original for the period that it's from. So I just had to say that once more time. So for me to be buying paints there at the moment, I haven't done any drawing at all in all those weeks. I did my journaling, which was okay, because otherwise I get completely flooded and I feel like I forget half of what I've experienced, which isn't really true, but it still tends to feel that way. So I did quite a bit of journaling, and I will get back to drawing and painting and all the other interesting bits, activities, you know, being home again. Home, safe, not cold anymore, not sweaty, no more mosquitoes than I can handle. And I suppose I'm done talking for the day, because I can feel kind of it's enough for now. I will do one more at some point, probably tomorrow or the day after, about Titian's birthplace village and what that did to us. So that was because, you know, poetry writing happened. I did write a poem for the first time in a year or so. So that was really excellent as well. Thank you for watching. See you soon back here. Bye bye for now.